If you all don't mind, I need you to indulge me for a minute. I need to take a picture of the crowd, so just real quick. My husband said that there was no way that college kids would show up at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. And I said, well, maybe that's how you rolled at the University of Illinois. But at Augustana, we take our futures very seriously. So if you all could just smile and yell, "Go Vikings," I'd appreciate it. All right, go Vikings! Thank you. That will also be on Facebook probably later today. So speaking of Facebook, I did some research. I am a professional speaker, and so I do a lot of research before my speeches. And I put a note out to my Facebook crowd, which I am very privileged to say has some amazing business leaders, some of my Augustana friends, a cross-section just like all of you have. And I learned some wonderful things from them about this speech. I just said, what's the one piece of advice you would give if you were me? And so I got some wonderful things back, and I'm going to share those throughout my remarks here. But I just want to say what that exercise did for me more than anything was just reminded me what a blessed life I have. And I hope that you guys feel that way about your life when you take a step back too. I've met some of the most amazing people. I've met some of the most giving individuals, and I'm just really fortunate. And when I look at it, I just go, it's just my life. I mean, it's nice to have things on a bio, and it's nice to have people want you to come speak or do something, but it's just our life, right? It's just what I get up and do every day. And then I started thinking about it, I'm like, but I've been very blessed to have some really cool experiences and meet some really awesome people along the way. So what I thought I would do is just go through and kind of tell you what I've been up to since I was sitting in you guys' chair, and just maybe point out a few of those awesome experiences and some of the things I learned along the way. And we'll continue to learn along the way. 17 years ago, I was a 19-year-old sophomore at Augustana, and I was $300,000 in debt. I bought my first business with my sister when I was 19. My parents are the founders of Superwash Car Washes, and they thought it was a really good idea that their daughters get into business and understand what it was all about. My sister's 25, she's also an Augustana graduate. She was a volleyball player here, so I spent a lot of time in this gym. And we decided to buy our first store in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which is just 3 hours away from Augustana. So we bought this business, and it was in need of a total turnaround. So I went to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays, God bless the trimester, for my ADD and for my business. Went to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursday night, I drove to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday morning, I pulled money, deposited money, and drove back and did it all over again. My sister was a practicing CPA here in the Quad Cities, so from January to April, I basically didn't have a partner because she was doing her full-time job. So that's what I was doing when I was 19 and when I was here. I'll tell you what, the day I was on that car wash parking lot, which is where I grew up my whole life, I've been working at the car wash since I was 4 years old. A customer said to me one day when I was working at my store, how do they get somebody so young to work so hard? And I looked at him and I said, well, sir, I'm responsible for part of the mortgage, so that's what we do here. What I would say to you is earn every accolade. That was an accolade to me, for that person to say, how do they get you to work so hard? He recognized that I was working really hard. Earn every accolade. Earn every promotion that comes your way. Earn every step on the ladder. There is absolutely nothing owed to any of us. The business world can be a very harsh place. It can also be a very rewarding place. But when you earn every one of those rungs on the ladder and you can pat yourself on the back and know that you did it with integrity, very little feels better than that. And work your butt off to get there. We have to do things to succeed that others aren't willing to do. We have to take the flight that's a red eye to get back home to go to work the next morning, right? Those are the things you gotta be willing to do to really make an impact. After graduation, I went to work for an event planning company. I knew that I loved sports when I was 21, 22, and so I wanted to do something on that front. I knew I wanted to go to Chicago. I was not going back to Little Morrison, Illinois, and I needed to get out of Dodge. So I was going to Chicago, and I moved to Evanston and roomed with a sorority sister from here. and I got a job with a company called ICM. They had a sports management division, and then they had an event planning side. So what I got to do is I got to write conferences for senior level banking and IT executives. That doesn't sound all that exciting, except for the fact that I was 23 years old, and I was in New York City, New Orleans, and San Francisco every 9 to 12 days, staying at places like the Plaza and the Waldorf Astoria. That was awesome. That was awesome. I knew I wanted to travel, I knew I wanted to see places, and that was one way to do it. And then shady stuff started to happen at the company. The tipping point for me was they got rid of their customer service department because they did not want to give the illusion that they would ever give a refund to someone that was not happy with the product. That was 180 degrees opposite of everything I had ever been taught about how you treat people and how you take care of them and how you take pride in the product that you deliver. And it was at that point that I knew I needed to leave. And so I did. I put in my resignation. I had been there almost exactly a year, and I left. And the lesson that I learned from that is to have a moral compass. And if you don't have one yet, get one. And then follow it. If you think that the peer pressure that you've faced up to this point in your life has been harsh, let me tell you what, it gets harder. When a boss is breathing down your neck, or a colleague is trying to get you to do something, you have to understand where your tipping point is and what lines are you willing to cross. What will you do when there is a big money check dangling on the other side? And a lot of times it is dollars that will be dangled in front of you, and a lot of times they're very nice dollars, and they may be the bridge that you need to get from one point to the other. But trust me, folks, what you give up by not following that moral compass, there is no amount of money that can make up for that. One thing I would reflect back on just real quickly, I said I loved sports, and I do, I still do. I have 2 TVs in my living room right now. Actually, there's 3 because there's always sports on one and like Criminal Minds on the other one. So we're a sports household. Thankfully, I have 2 little boys that are getting into it too. But when I did that Facebook research, a lot of people said, follow your passion, find your passion, and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's nice to say, and I hope that CORE helps find that out. But you know what? Don't feel bad if it takes a while. It takes a while to find that true passion. I am a almost 37-year-old mom of 2 who's been working since I was 4 years old, who's still trying to figure out who I'm gonna be when I grow up. So don't feel bad when it takes some time to find that passion, but never stop searching. From ICM, I went back to Superwash, which is my family's business. We've got about 280 car wash locations across the country, and I was gonna lead a conversion from licensing to franchising. That was the time that I got involved with the International Franchise Association as well. I have gone on to become the youngest member of the board of directors that the IFA has ever had, but what I most learned through those 2 opportunities is that I have spent my whole career developing relationships, and that very little in life is as important as the people that you surround yourself with. I would absolutely say to spend every minute you can developing relationships so that when you walk back in this room, Carol gives you a hug, Karen gives you a hug, Doug, Nick, people you haven't seen in 15 years. That's what it's all about. To me, there is nothing that I value more than the relationships that I build in life, and it helps me guide every decision that I make. Am I going to impact somebody positively or negatively, and how is that going to make them feel? Now that doesn't mean I always make the right business decision, but value those relationships and make sure that we're valuing everyone and using no one. It is really easy to take advantage of those who may not be in a position to advance you in any way. I'll tell you what I love about you guys more than anything in the last hour I've met you, and that's that you thank the food service people for helping us today. Because you know what? Without the service people and the providers around us, life doesn't look nearly as beautiful as most of us get to experience. So thank you for taking the time to do that, guys. Very much noticed and appreciated. So value those relationships and spend all your time building them. When I was at the IFA, I had the amazing privilege of meeting Fred DeLuca, which that name probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but Fred is the founder of Subway. And Fred took 24-year-old Susan under his wing. He was wearing leather pants the first time I met him, by the way, which was kind of an interesting moment in my life. And he asked me, well, tell me a little bit about your car wash company, or tell me about your little car wash company. That's what he said. Well, this is my family's business, and this guy just called it my little car wash company. Well, until I found out he was the founder of Subway, because I didn't know who this guy was. Well, he's got 35,000 stores compared to my 300. It was a little car wash company. But he's been an amazing mentor and friend to me. And in 2010, we were at dinner together, and Fred said to me, Susan, what do you love to do? And I said, Fred, what I love to do is I love to be up on stage, and I love that minute when I know that something I said got through to somebody. And I can see it in their eyes, and I love that minute. And he said, then go do that. And I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, why wouldn't you go professionally speak? If that's what you love to do, why wouldn't you go do that? I said, Fred, I don't know anything about speakers bureaus, and where would anybody start? Here's what he said to me. Are you going to turn into a wimpy girl on me now? I said, no, Fred, I'm not. From that day forward, he offered to mentor me through starting up my own speaking business. He gave me assignments that I needed to do. I followed every one of them. And ultimately, I started my professional speaking business. My first professional speech at the Subway Worldwide Convention. The Subway Worldwide Convention. Now, I wasn't keynoting, I was doing some breakout groups, but when you're Subway, their breakout groups are bigger than most people's keynotes, okay? So, the lesson I learned from that is to surround yourself with people who are gonna challenge you to be a better person, who are gonna challenge you to do more, but then are also gonna support you like Fred did in that pursuit to be better. In October of 2012, I was lifting weights in my basement, and a vision came to me for an event where I would match up private equity money, which there's a lot of private equity money in the marketplace right now, with franchisors like Superwash who were looking to grow but needed money to do it. So I started doing all my due diligence calls and found out that there was some legs to this. Thought I wanted to do it. I had a background in event planning, figured I could work it out, talked to my dad. My dad said, Susan, the main thing I've learned in business is never ignore a vision. So I didn't ignore the vision, and ultimately I said yes and took the risk to put together this event. Started working on it in kind of January of 2012. 5 weeks before the event, less than 10 people had signed up. Now, 5 weeks before an event, folks, you're supposed to have well over 50% of your attendance signed up. I was personally on the hook for a hotel contract that I signed when I said yes for $35,000. And I hadn't told my husband that that was the kind of money we were talking about. My husband's an accountant. That wasn't going to go over well. If any of you are familiar with the song Lose Yourself from the 8 Mile soundtrack by Eminem, there is a line in there that includes a swear word that I will try and let you figure out, or you can go listen to the song on iTunes later. It says, success is my only option, failure is not. I listened to that song hundreds of times because I needed something to kick me in the butt to say, there's no way I'm going down on this thing. I'll tell you what, we went on, we had a very profitable first year. I talked to some friends who said, Susan, you need to turn in every favor you think you have and make this happen. And that's exactly what I did, because success was my only option. Failure was not. I paid that hotel, we made money, I paid all my partners, we doubled our profit last year, and we look like we will double last year's profit this year. But what I learned in that lesson is say yes. Take the risk. Be scared. Fail epically if it's going to happen. But you have to stretch. You have to take the risk. My friend Sam, who's a TV producer that I've done some work with out in California, he said this: it's never too early to chase your dreams, but it can get to be too late. So take those risks in your 20s and in your 30s. Talk to your business mentors today about whether it can get too late. Trust me, when you've got a mortgage and 2 kids that want to play traveling hockey and all the other things that come along with life, there does get to be a point in time where the rub is too much and the risk is too great. So fail epically and take those big chances towards your dreams early. 37, married, 2 kids, and these days I have to schedule appointments to talk to my best friend from college. We went 5 years and didn't talk to each other, and we didn't go 5 minutes when we were on this campus without being together. It happens really, really quick. One of the exercises that I'd like to leave you with is that I would encourage all of us, regardless of age, where you're at in your career, to write down your set of personal guiding principles. What do you want? And who do you want to be? I'll share with you some of mine. I had surgery 2 weeks ago, spent the night in the hospital, and came home and slept for like 20 hours and then couldn't sleep for 2 nights. This is when I do some of my best writing, is when I'm kind of in that delusional state where you're just really tired, but you just start writing. And I just started writing. Because whether you are 18 and in the room now, 22, 42, or Jim, I'm not going to say how old I think you might be. We appreciate breakfast, so that's where I'm going to leave it on that one. Your personal guiding principles will change. If you're single, if you're married, when you have kids, I mean, all of these things, your personal guiding principles will change. I'll tell you where some of mine are at now. And again, I started with the questions, what do I want? And who do I want to be? I want to be a good role model for the boys. I want to be a present force in their life who's on the field, in the seats, or on the couch with them, wherever they need me to be. I want to be a loving, contributing, supportive, and fun partner for my husband. I want to be of service and encouragement to others. I want to always keep learning, growing, and stretching. I want to be a responsible, respectful, ethical, passionate leader who exudes grace, especially when under fire. I want to help my parents get whatever they want out of their superwash experience. I want to be a loyal and trustworthy, honest and dedicated friend. I want to value and care for my emotional and my physical health. Your health is your wealth. Don't ignore it. And then I've got some other stuff on here about spirituality and money and those kind of things. And my last one is I want to be responsible for how my future plays out. If you don't have some sort of guiding principles of what you want and who you want to be, trust me, it's going to be really hard to get to where you want to go out and grab those dreams, because there's going to be 1,000 choices of left or right. Left or right, job opportunities, partner opportunities, all these things are going to come up. And if you don't know who you want to be and what you want, you're just kind of going like this. But if you have that end goal, does this allow me to be a dedicated and passionate leader? Does this allow me to be at my kids' baseball games? Someday you're going to have a job offer for $300,000, $500,000, where you have to travel 75% of the time internationally to make that kind of money. Do you want to be gone that much? Do you want to miss the baseball games and the art fairs? Maybe you do. Those are the decisions and the importance of having those guiding principles. I am proud and inspired by you because you stepped up and came here today. But I want to share one thing, and that's that never lose sight of the fact that a college degree does not guarantee your success. You're responsible for that. That's on your shoulders. Here's what my Facebook friends would say: be respectful, Stay humble, never stop learning, have a firm handshake. Please do not shake hands like a fish. Whatever you do, people often say to me, wow, you've got a really strong handshake, and I do. It's probably a little overkill, actually. Have a firm handshake, make eye contact, and go show those employers what an Augustana graduate is made of, and that we'll be there before 8 a.m. kicking your butt. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day today. Enjoy it. Thanks for having me.